Our next award goes to the outstanding alumnus in the natural and mathematical sciences, and will be introduced by Dr. Nestle Craig, Associate Professor of Biological Sciences.
It's a real pleasure to introduce Mike Nishimura as the outstanding alumnus from the Natural and Mathematical Sciences, even though the original nominator, Dr. Suzanne Rosenberg, is in Denmark at a meeting. Basically, I know him, a lot of us in the department don't know him, and are happy that his good career and the contributions he's made to UMBC and to the field, his field of science, can be recognized in this sort of format. He actually earned all 3 degrees here at UMBC, both his BA degree in our sort of standard biological sciences major, which we think very highly of. He got his master's degree working in the model system of Drosophila, learning through genetics, and then he became introduced to his field that he's been working ever since in tumor immunology in the lab of Dr. Suzanne Rosenberg, and he got his PhD in that department in 1989. Mike was an interesting person. That there was a small group of graduate students in those days that many of us call diamonds in the rough, and they turned out to be diamonds, who played a very important part in the development of the program from the students' perspective. As many of the current UMBC faculty and staff know, the graduate students have a very active group, and they put on their own symposia. They run their own sort of seminar series, and Mike was a part of that group that got that thing going. And it's been umpteen years now that we've had this annual symposia and feedback. They have things called sort of chalk talks where faculty are not allowed to go, and they talk to each other about what they're doing. So from a viewpoint of contributing to the development of the graduate program as a student, then Mike is a prime example of that as well. After he got his degree, he did a postdoc at Caltech, became a staff fellow at NIH, and then went to the University of Chicago. During these times, he was working basically in the field of tumor immunology, and at Chicago he became the director of the lab of surgical oncology, the labs. For the last 4 years, he's been down at the medical the College of University of South Carolina in Charleston, where he's a professor of microbiology immunology, and is continuing his work on tumor immunology. And some of the types of approaches he's taking, as far as I know, are in clinical testing at the present time. Isn't that right, Mike?
Yes.
So, from a science viewpoint, he's been very successful for all these many years. So he's made strong contributions to the field of science and to the field of medicine in terms of tumor immunology. He's also provided a lot of service to the scientific community in terms of NIH study sections and program project review things at NIH. He's been on advisory panels for other university cancer centers and advisory boards for biotech companies as well. So clearly, to the field that he's been in, for the community, for the nation, he's been very, very effective. He's also come back and been involved at UMBC when he was physically still here in the Mid-Atlantic area. He was able to teach a graduate course, and in these days of budgetary constraints, it was nice to be able to recognize he did it without pay. And so that was a second contribution that he made to UMBC even after graduating. So all in all, it's a real pleasure to say it's great that you're being recognized as an outstanding alumni in natural science.
Thank you, Nestle, President Bowski, everybody else, and those that have nominated me for this. It's quite an honor, and I'm very humbled by this. It's a little ironic that we hold this in the library, because most of you that know me would know I spent very little time here. Hey, I have to speak the truth, unfortunately. I've been reflecting a little bit on UMBC since I got the call about this. And, it was 32 years ago I came here as just a kid, and 3 degrees later I left really pretty well prepared to take on the challenges of academics and science. And a lot of it was really because of the people that are here, many of the people that are in this room and others that can't be here. I learned integrity, I learned scientific discipline, critical thinking. I learned many things about mentoring the next generation of people. I'm actually I hate to disagree with you, Nestle, or correct you. I'm actually a professor in the Department of Surgery. So I've spent a lot of time over the years working with young physicians, trying to help them get engaged in science and make contributions. And it's been a very gratifying career, and all the foundations of this came from my time here. You know, there are a number of people in this room that I need to obviously acknowledge and thank. First of all, my mother is here. So. She'll acknowledge that she's not sure sometimes who actually raised me. She doesn't want to take responsibility for all the bad things I did. And there were a number of things that, if any of you that remember me will remember the bad things. My wife, it's amazing. I come back here every so often. I don't get here much anymore, but the students say, "Oh, I remember you," or "I've heard of the things that you did," because we were pretty creative back then. Those are back in the days where you could have a little bit of fun as a graduate student. My wife is here, Kathy, my wife for 27 years. That I've, and without her, because even though I wasn't supposed to work, but she helped, support all this during the time we were struggling as graduate students and postdocs. In science, we didn't make a whole lot of money. I wasn't involved in Amazon.com and didn't make hundreds of billions of dollars. But she's been my partner through all of this, and I'm grateful. There are, as I said, many faculty here. My master's thesis advisors here, Dick Getman. Again, I learned so much from him as far as integrity and things of that nature. And I'm indebted to you forever for the things I've learned. Many of the other professors here, a little more than named. It's a shame Sue Rosenberg couldn't be here, although I would be afraid to hear what she would say about me. My chairman actually came up from South Carolina, Dave Cole. He was actually even a fellow in my lab and started many of the early projects that we've now put into patients. And we've got a really large clinical trial grant that's going to start. The grant's already started. We're going to start treating patients next year to treat patients with metastatic melanoma with experimental therapies. A lot of the things that have been done, he was involved in early on, and he's facilitated since then. And I guess the last thing I want to say is, what I do for a living in science is not done by myself, and I get an awful lot of credit for the things I do. I don't work in a vacuum. A lot of people have helped me over the years, and many of the things I talk about and do actually are work that other people have done. And Ginny Clements is here. She was the technician in Sue's lab. We joined the lab together, measured a lot of mice, and people like her and many, many others are really responsible for the things that I've accomplished over the years. And so this award is really not necessarily for me. It's for a collection of people. But I'm just very honored and humbled by the fact that I get to receive it. So thank you very much.